Have you ever thought back to a moment in your life where you can vividly remember something happening? You can picture who was there, what was happening, when it was, everything, only to find out that that thing never happened, or happened very differently. The fact is, your brain lies to you all the time. So in this talk, I'm going to explore the misalignment between what you see and perceive and what your brain remembers, the way your memories can be distorted by other people, patterns, and yourself. I'll begin by explaining the external causes. So, how can the world around us help shape our understanding of an experience? Psychologists Elizabeth Loftus and John Palmer demonstrated this in a famous car crash experiment. They showed each participant the same video of a car crash. However, some were asked how fast the cars were going when they hit each other, and others were asked how fast they were going when they smashed into each other. Other variations were used, such as contacted, bumped, and collided. Their results showed that simply changing the verb changed people's understandings of the event, showing that our memory is not as solid and reliable as we think it is, but it's a reconstruction shaped by external influences. They even found that those who were asked about the verb smashed reported seeing broken glass when there was none. To put this in a practical way, you may have experienced yourself. Imagine you're in a meeting and you're confident you've remembered what was said. Fast forward to that evening and you've maybe forgotten most of it. The next morning, someone comes up to you and tells you what they think they heard in that meeting, but you don't remember it. You assume they're correct because you realize you don't remember as much of it as you thought you did. Later on, someone else comes up to you and asks what was said in that meeting, and without realizing it, you've told them what the other person told you. Why? You don't remember hearing it. You don't know if it's true or not. This happens because the reliability of your memory decreases as time goes on. The longer after the event, the more likely your memories are to be contaminated. So if someone tells you something with enough conviction and enough times, your brain internalizes this and believes it actually happened. They've added something to your memory that never happened. Now imagine this on a larger scale. Some of you may have heard of the Mandela effect. Now, the Mandela effect is a social phenomenon where large groups of people vividly remember something to be one way, even if it's objectively false. The name comes from the widespread belief that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s when he actually died a free man in 2013 in South Africa. This is an example of memory reconstruction caused by external influences. And an example of this is Pikachu. Now, does Pikachu have black on his tail or not? He doesn't. However, the brain thinks that because the ears are black, the tail should be also. Another example is the original Monopoly man. Does he have a monocle or does he not? He doesn't. However, the brain has a preconceived idea of a rich old man, and it forms a picture based on this pattern. Now, who can remember the robber emoji? I assume you're all thinking of someone in a black and white shirt, a mask, and a sack of money. Something like this. However, this never existed. Apple never released a robber emoji, despite many people seeming to remember there being one. To explain this, the brain combines external images and preconceived ideas of a robber, from films, books, TV shows, anything with that generic robber image, to construct a false memory. Similarly, remember Curious George? Does he have a tail or does he not? He doesn't. However, the brain uses logic and thinks that because monkeys have a tail and George is a monkey, George should also have a tail. Again, your brain, this unconscious addition to your memory based on knowledge changes the characteristics of the actual thing. Now, you may be sat there thinking you've got all of these correct, and your brain isn't easily influenced by something so simple as a pattern. However, the fact that these are not isolated experiences and that so many people have experienced them raises the important question of, can we really trust what our brains are telling us? Our brains rebuild memories from information using patterns, relying on what has happened and what should happen and trusting it's the same again. And this is when false memories become so powerful. If enough people believe something to be one way, your brain sees no reason to think otherwise. So a false memory feels just as real as a true memory. Now, we don't just remember things wrong. We also see wrong as well. Now, everybody's seen an optical illusion. Your eyes tell you one thing and your brain tells you another. And a famous example of this is Ninio's grid. Now, where is the black dot? There is no black dot, but your brain is filling in what's expected, trying to simplify a complex pattern into something that can be understood. It misses things and adds things that shouldn't be there, meaning that your perception of reality is constructed and not absolute. And this happens because of lateral inhibition of the retina. The photoreceptors in your eyes are stimulated by light, and when this happens, it reduces the activity of the receptors around it, meaning that the photoreceptors can misperceive the image. So the brain has to construct an image based on the context. Another well-known example of this is this dress. Now I want you to put your hand up if you see a blue and black dress. And raise your hand if you see a white and gold dress. Now, despite looking at the same image, it's clear that people are seeing different colors. And this all depends on how you determine the lighting of the photo. If you see it as being in a bright light, your brain filters out the yellow tones and you'll see a blue and black dress. Whereas if you see it as being hidden under shadow, your brain filters out the blue tones and you'll see a white and gold dress. And this decision happens immediately. And interestingly, people who spend more time outside are more likely to see a white and gold dress because their brains are more used to filtering out the blue tones from the sky. However, people who see the blue and black dress spend more time indoors, and their brains are more tuned to filtering out the yellow tones. So your brain is filling in the blanks and looking for context and prior experiences to explain what it should be seeing. So far, I've explored the external influences. But what if the distortion comes from within your own brain? Now, in an experiment on epileptic patients, Roger Sperry cut the corpus callosum, which connects the two hemispheres of the brain, meaning they could no longer communicate. They then showed an image to the right eye, and the person was able to describe what they saw, but could not draw it. This happens because the right eye is connected to the left hemisphere, which is associated with cognitive processing. Also, if shown an image to the left eye, the person was not able to describe it, but was able to draw it, but only with their left hand. And this is because the left eye is connected to the right hemisphere, which is associated with creativity in drawing and also controlling the left side of the body. And this study showed that each hemisphere of the brain is perceiving reality differently. So people with a normal functioning brain, so one without a removed corpus callosum, uses the information from both hemispheres to create a unified image. So our perception is not unified, but it's a collection of many different inputs of information. Your brain is trying to create a clear picture of reality that makes sense, not necessarily an accurate one. To end, I'd like to leave you with this thought from neuroscientist Anil Seth. We don't passively perceive the world, we actively generate it. So next time you're remembering something, I'd encourage you to think whether or not you can trust what your brain is really telling you. Thank you.